Hello guys, what's up? Welcome back. Standard Deck Tech again with the aftermath, but it's more of the previous set of March of the Machines. And we're taking a look today of a particular submitted deck list. We call this one as a Esper Flash by JC Rain. I think this is also posted in an article, but we'll have our take on what the build and what they call it, why it is named as that one with the Flash. So we're going to take a look at this list. We see probably the card that was built around it is Errant and Giada. This is from March of the Machines main set with the blue colors. Remember this duo. It is a human angel 2-3 flash and flying. You may look at the top card of the library at any time, and you may cast spells with flash or flying from the top card of the library. So what you would really need to have to be able to, let's say, play around on this card is just to really jump up with the cards that has flash also. So probably all of this lineup here are creatures with flash, and at the same time with several ETB effects or utility abilities that we can use, so also to gain us card advantage and board advantage. So we're going to list down the build. We have 26 creatures, 3 instants, 5 sorceries, and 26 lands, and also some sideboard cards later on, which we can have another discussion. So we're going to start with the 2 mana cost, Qatar Commando. This is initially made for the humans deck, but is now used here because of, again, it has the ability of flash, and at the same time more utility card, and also a good attacker per se because it was 3-1, 3 power attack. And in the instance that we need to destroy artifact enchantments, you can just pay 1, sacrifice Qatar Commando to destroy it. So 2 copies in the deck. Our second 2-drop in the build is 3 copies of the Fairy Mastermind. So this again the World Championship card from Yuta Takashi. So this is also a flash creature with flying. And whenever an opponent draws the second card each turn, you may draw a card. You will draw a card, but although this ability a sort of a mana sink in the mid game or late game, in which you would have each player draws a card. But if you would have this trigger or activated, you would also have this trigger where you will draw 2 cards as an additional effect. So with the 2-drop, it could be a good attacker and flyer at the same time early on to deal early damage against your opponents. So that is again 3 copies. The next up is Resolute Reinforcement. This is a white human soldier. Then which, when it enters the battlefield, you'll create this 1/1 white soldier creature token, and also more of a gum up the board, and also a good flashy creature option here. So 3 copies of that in the deck. So that with the next up is this one, Spectral Adversary from Midnight Hunt. At 2 cost 2/1 flash flying, but this is ability wherein you can pay extra 1 colorless or 1 of any color in blue any number of times. So if you play this cost 1 or more times, put that counter on Spectral Adversary, and then after that many other artifacts or creatures and enchantments faces out. So again, this is more of a situational facing out of your creatures and any other relevant target that is either a creature, an enchantment, or artifact with this ability. But early on, again, it's just going to be a 2 cost 2/1 flashy flyer that can be able to deal out damage early on. So that with the next up is 3 mana cost is the 1 copy of Cemetery Eliminator. At 2 cost 2/3 flyer with this ability that enters the battlefield or attacks, exile a card from a graveyard, and then may look the top card of the library at any time. Once it's turned, you may cast a spell from the top card of the library, and if it shares a card type with a card exiled only with the Cemetery Eliminator. So that also depend on the cards that was exiled whenever Eliminator enters the battlefield or attacks. That would depend on how you would be able to cast that card from the top card library. But again, that is still free information on your top card, in which you can also use Errant and Giada to be able to cast those cards that has flash or flying at the same time. To take note, this is also flying, not a fast creature, but this is also can be casted with Errant and Giada's ability. So again, and Giada is 4 copies in the deck to make sure that we can have a good curve with the turn 2 creature and a turn 3 Errant and Giada, so that we'll be able to do the start the engine of casting creatures with or spells with flash or flying from your top card of your library. So that with the 4 copies, we also have 2 copies of the Lair Grief. Again, this is more this again like a utility creature with a 3 to cast 2/2 to enter the battlefield. You can return another creature control to source hand. You can basically save up or use a blink. It's not a blink, but a bounce effect to your own creature. That you can be able to use it for another effect. That is one of the best example here is the next card, which is Airtime Resurrected. It has this ETB ability that can counter target spell or activated ability or triggered ability. It will have its opponent controller draws a card, or you can destroy another creature or planeswalker and score draws a card. So with Black Griff, you can also bounce Airtime again to use it for another effect or another counter spell if needed. So Airtime is again 3 copies in the deck that curves up to the 4 mana costs in the build. So next also is this one, the same function of that, similar function of that of Airtime because of its ability that also when it connives you can return up to 1 target spell to its owner's hand. So it's more of a semi counter spell effect, but at the same time you will get a flashy lifelink or a 4/2 when it connives to a non-land card that was discarded to its connive ability. Now next also is the 3 copies of Overcharged Amalgam. This is for the 4-drop flash effect again, that when able to exploit creature, you will counter target spell, activated ability or triggered ability. So early on you can just basically cast off your 2 drops here. Best example to exploit is the token copy of Resolute Reinforcements, wherein these are just free cards, that's effects of that ability, and whenever to exploit it you can have a good 3/3 flyer creature, but was able also to counter a relevant spell or ability of that from your opponent. So that wraps up for the creatures. For the instance, we have 3 copies of Otherworldly Gaze. This is more like arranging the top 3 cards library and putting those lands, for example, there are extra lands from the top, putting them to your graveyard, and making sure that your engine goes well, that you could be able to cast cards from the top card library. And good thing is that it has also flashback, wherein you can use this also later on if you have more of the extra mana to flash it back and arrange the top card library so that the engine will again continue to work. And the sorcery, we have 5 here. It's quite unusual that we have these sweep spells instead, to have another sort of spot removal instead, because of I see that nature is more of a flashy aggro based deck, but your main deck will also have this sweep or spot mass removal effects. But only later on can just not question why the chose send cards here are those discards that was added. So we have 2 copies of Farewell and 3 copies of Soundfall. And that for the lands is finally just we have some utility cards. I think we're missing Tawara here in the build, but nevertheless the fix is also good with several ouch lands, some check lands in here. We also have Ruffin's Tower for the 3-color Esper fix, and the Shipwreck Mars, also Shadow's Sanctum for the late game. And the lone channel land in the build is Takenuma Abandoned Mire, but in which 26 lands goes well with this build, maybe because of the chain that we need, that you will be able to cast cards from the top card library and do the sort of the extra cards that was added. And we go now with the sideboard. We have 4 copies of these specific cards, one of which is the Rattan Reunion. This is an exile target card from our graveyard, in which should also be able to create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with decay. The good thing here is that maybe for the matchups of reanimation effects, or those that rely on any graveyard shenanigans, you will be able to counter this one. At the same time, you will create a zombie creature token threat that can also be added to your board to be able to attack. And which when this, we have also 4 copies of Sunset Rivalry. This is more of the aggro matchup sideboard. If an opponent has more life than you, will gain 4 life. If we have controlled more creatures than you can also create 2/1/1 white human creature tokens. And if they have more cards than you will draw a card. So that is the 3 situational setup effects, but they would also need to have, let's say, on the sideboard against aggro, since they mostly be curving also and attacking with their hasty creatures and dealing early damage against your life total. So that with that effect, we also have the sideboard for Cemetery Protector. Again, this is more a flashy creature for white. This is the white version of the Protectors compared here with the Illuminator. This one would have ability to exile a card from graveyard also, and whenever you play a land or cast a spell, if it shares a card type with the exiled card, you will create a 1/1 white human creature token. So exiling would be really specific to what card type you would want, so that you would be able to have this ability and be able to gain advantage out of it. And more of these one-offs, additional Interceptor, additional Amalgam, maybe for mid-range to control matchups, and additional Farewell for also maybe for the late game scenario in which you would just wipe out their board and then gain advantage again with your engine. And also one copy of Hullbreaker Horror for the mid-game to late game setup. And last but not least, as our mana curve would check, we have an average mana value of 3.09, that's between 3 and 4. We have 8 for 4 mana value and 7 for 3 mana value, but at the same time we'll also have 11 here in the 2 mana value because of the several utility creatures that can use and early on, as early as 2 drop, we can just cast on these creatures to be able to start our assault to your opponent's life total. And for the color distribution, we have blue for 26 and white 23 with a little black for only 5. But our fix here is also going well with blue and white, with blue 17, white producer is 18, and black is 12. And last but not least, we have 4 tokens that we're using in the deck: the human creature token, the incubator that can be transformed into the direction, soldier token was created by reinforcements, and the zombie token with decay from the Rotten Reunion card. So I guess that's about it for this deck tech. If you've seen a similar build for Errant and Giada in your MTG Online or MTG Arena ups, let me know in the comments below what were your impressions or observations on this build and what would be the possible improvement that we can have out of this. In my personal opinion, I would really not have this in the main. You can have this in the sideboard, but early on in the main deck, I would prefer spot removals or additional counter spells so that we can be able to aggro them out by gaining an advantage of this ability of that of Errant and Giada, at the same time protecting them from any huge threats or spot removals from your opponents. So I guess that's about it, guys. Thank you for checking this Tech Esper Flash again by JC Rain. So don't forget to like and subscribe. You can just turn on notifications bell for updates, future deck techs, and we'll have the upcoming Lord of the Rings card discussion also with the modern format and also that of the 8H format. Thank you guys for watching this one, and see you in the next video.